Hey, what's going on, everybody? Today I'm explaining how I got my Kilo 141 Golden. The assault rifle itself, it's really good. It's got a fast fire rate, low recoil. The damage is a little bit less than the M4, but those other two factors make up for it, and it's just a really good overall assault rifle. It's also the first AR you get, so a lot of people are using it right off the bat. But to give you guys an overview on what I do for each Golden camo, is I'll break down the weapon into 3 different types of builds. The first build is a kills build, which will cover 7 out of the 10 camos. That's from everything from like the spray paint, which is just an overall kills camo, woodland, which is headshots, digital, crouching kills, and so on. The second build is a hipfire build, which is for the dragon camo, and that's just literally you have to get kills hip firing. And then the third is a reload build, which, as the name implies, it's for the stripes camo. You just have to get a kill right after reloading, which is actually probably my least favorite and the most difficult for me challenge to complete. But yeah, I'm gonna head over into the gunsmith. I'll show you guys all the attachments for those 3 builds and give you any tips that I have. Alright, so right here we have the kills build. So the 7 camos that this build will cover is the spray paint, which are kills, the woodland camo, which are the headshots, digital, which is crouching kills, splinter, which is long shots, the topo, or topo, which is mounted kills for ARs, pistols, it would be double kills, but I mean, this isn't a pistol. The tiger camo, which is, you have to have 5 attachments right here, you can see I have 5 selected, and you have to get kills with 5 attachments on your gun, so. And then the last one is skulls, which is just you have to get 3 kills without dying, I think 25 times. But for the attachments, I'm not using a muzzle. The barrel is this one. I'm not sure what level you get this, but the reason for this is just you can see the difference between everything. I don't want movement speed to be slowed down too much, but it's got a lot more attributes like damage range, because this overall assault rifle is built for range. That's why I have a 4 times on it, because that'll help with long shots. So you want to keep your damage up at range. And then it also helps with the recoil control. Bullet velocity, for me, I haven't noticed a huge difference. I'm also not a big ground war player. I do play ground war for I think 2 of the camos, but overall I play like just the standard game modes. So for bullet velocity, I mean, it's definitely helping for ground war if you do play that, but for me, playing the normal maps, it's not that big of a deal, but it helps. So you want to make sure you have this barrel. Laser, I'm not using a laser. The optic, this is kind of preference. Well, I mean, a lot of these are preference. None of this is going to be like groundbreaking. If you use this, it might not work for you. You have to kind of experiment, but for me, these are like the attachments that I used and was able to get these camos knocked out pretty fast. It took me, I think, 10 hours. I wasn't just strictly going for camos, but it took me about 10 hours to get this gun golden. Now, for the sight, I use a 4x and then the flip, what's the flip hybrid. So you can either have the magnification going, which turns it into a 4x, or just a holographic. Now this is useful for like Euphrates Bridge is really good because it helps you at range. But tons of different maps, it helps out, especially when you're going for the long shots. And for me, on PC, for some reason, when I'm using like the GI Mini Reflex, I can't see people. It's a lot harder for me to shoot somebody at range. And I know that seems like a standard problem to have if you're using a red dot sight for far distance, but I've never really had that problem before. But as soon as I put on the flip hybrid, it just made it a lot easier. Plus, I think before you even have the magnification scope like active, if you had it off to the side, the holo zooms in more than say like the GI Mini Reflex. So that's the scope I use. You could just use whatever works best for you, whatever you feel like most comfortable with. But the next thing is the underbarrel. I used commando foregrip, which is good because that's one of the first attachments that that you get. I think for the grip, I think it's the literal first one. The grenade launchers aren't going to help you with anything really for when it comes to camos, so you really are just looking at the grips. Now, the reason why I'm using the commando foregrip is obviously for recoil stabilization, aiming stability, for me, that's not a huge deal because I'm more of like a running around player, which is extremely hard to do in this game, but it's just my play style. But it just helps me out with that. Where if you compare it to like these other foregrips, I think a lot of them, I think it's ADS speed, which I'm trying to avoid, and I think this might be actually the only one. No, but this one doesn't help with recoil. So I recommend using that just for recoil stabilization. It just helps you for like headshots and for long range kills when you have to spray down somebody and you're gonna miss a couple shots because it's far ways away. So it just helps when you're just spraying down people. The next is ammo. I found using the normal mags, reloading a lot, and reloading is very slow in this game. And I don't want to use a perk because I want to get the gun to be as good as it is, or as good as it can be when it comes to recoil, ADS speed, mobility, stuff like that. So I don't really want to have to use a perk, one of these 5 attachment slots on sleight of hand. So basically when I started out off using the gun, I just went to 50 round, and then the 60 round whenever I unlocked it. I wouldn't recommend using 100 round drums for this build. I'll actually use it in the Hipfire build, but I don't recommend using it for this build just because the movement speed and the ADS speed it reduces it a lot. It was terrible. I did not enjoy it. So 60 round, it's a good compromise of going to 100, like more ammo capacity from 50, but it's not going to slow you down as much. And then the rear grip, the grips I actually found, I'm starting to really like all these different grips. So this grip is going to help you with ADS speed and then sprint and fire speed. Both of those are probably my two favorite I don't know what to call them, like attributes for attachments. Just because think about it, if you're running around, you're literally doing that. You're running around. So being able to pull your gun up faster and aim down sights faster than like the person you're about to. So you're going to get into a fight with somebody. You're running at each other. If you're able to get your gun up faster and shoot, you win the fight like 9 out of 10 times unless you whiff. So that's a super important attachment in my play style. But looking at it, so this is it. This is the kills build. You can obviously tweak it to whatever you need. If one of these things doesn't work out for you, just try messing around with it. Like I said before, none of this stuff is groundbreaking. You using this gun, it's not going to turn you into like a god. It's what I used and what I found to be like the best like overall like camo completion there. I think I just made that word up, but it's what I got most of the camos done with. Was just using this build. So now, like I mentioned, there's 3 different builds: kills build, reload build, and hipfire. So we'll go on to the next one, just right here, the hipfire build. Now they look a little different. So this one, for the attachments, you still want to have 5 attachments just in case you don't get the tiger camo. You want to be able to do it when you're getting your hipfire kills. Now, something that I'm gonna like a tip would be I would recommend doing this in hardcore. Now I know for a lot of core people, they just despise hardcore, but going back to like when I played Black Ops 4, I played a absolute ton of hardcore, and I still do it in this game. Like that's how I get pistols golden, and I've got 2 pistols golden already. It's just playing hardcore. It makes it so much easier. But I would definitely recommend playing hardcore, just because with this gun, how I played it, your playstyle kind of turns into a big, like you turn into a camper essentially. You're basically just going to be hiding. You have to listen for people, and because you're putting yourself at a disadvantage not aiming down sights, so you need to get all the advantages you can. So like I said, you want to keep your 5 attachments filled up. That way you can get the tiger camo if you haven't completed it yet. Something that's kind of bad is that you have to use the last barrel. I mean, you don't have to, but that's what I'm using. It's got an integrated suppressor, which is going to help. You don't really, because for these other barrels, you don't need damage range because you're going to be in hardcore. Bullet velocity, doesn't matter. You're not playing ground war. And then recoil control, you're not aiming down sights. So you don't need that. But having a suppressor helping conceal you is good. Like I said, you're trying to get all the advantages you can when you're trying to fight somebody in hardcore, especially when you're not aiming down sights. The laser, using the 5 milliwatt, which is good because it's not a super late unlock. But this is going to help you with your hipfire accuracy. Alright, sorry about that. I just realized when I was reading this that this is giving away your position where something like this red laser isn't. But I found the difference in why I was using the 5 milliwatt compared to, I think it's milliwatts, compared to the 1. And that's because right here you can just see it just says improves, where this one is greatly improves. And I'm pretty sure that does take effect in game. When you're hip firing, you can see the difference between the hipfire size. So obviously for hipfire kills, you want it to be, you want your crosshairs as close together when you're hip firing, that way you're more accurate. So that's why I'm using the 5 milliwatt. Optic, you don't need an optic because you're not aiming down sight. Stocks are mostly for like movement, so I'm not using any of those because you're really just kind of camping. I mean, you hate to do it, but you kind of have to because you don't have much of a choice when it comes to hip firing. You can't really compete with people running and gunning when you can't aim down sights. Now, the underbarrel, the foregrip you're using, is the Merc foregrip, and that's because I believe no other grip gives you hipfire, which, yeah, it doesn't. So, Merc foregrip gives you hipfire accuracy, so obviously you want that bonus. Ammo, so if you don't have the 100-round drugs, 100-round drums, you can use 60 or 50 or the default. I believe 100-round drums is one of the last attachments. I don't exactly remember, but I would highly recommend just going from default. Once you unlock 50 round, get 50, 60, and then 100. And then the reason for having that is because you can't aim down sight. You're not going to be accurate. You'll be missing more shots. And if you have more than 2 people, you have to just be able to shoot as many bullets at them and hope they hit. Rear grip, not using one. Perk, sleight of hand. You're shooting a lot. You're wasting a lot of ammo by not hitting your target, by hip firing. So you want to be able to get new mags in the gun, get more bullets. That way you can just get right back to shooting. So that's it for the hipfire build. So that leads us to basically the last build. Something I should mention is that there's one more challenge that I don't really cover, and that's, what is it? It's the, let's see here, no attachments, reptile camo, which is get kills with no attachments on your gun, which I'm pretty sure you guys could figure out. You don't need attachments, so there's no real build for it. But for the third build, the reload build, now this in my opinion is the worst camo challenge. It is atrocious. And why? The reason for that is because you have to get the kill. It seems like you have to get it almost instantly as soon as your mag goes into the gun. You have to get it super fast. There's no grace period. So, a huge tip that I would give you guys is go into ground war. Literally get on top of one of the roofs on, I don't even know, whatever map was in the beta. That map is where I was able to get a lot of my kills. I just got on top of one of the buildings. I just laid down. I just laid there with this gun. So, the attachments I'm using, muzzle brake, I think this helps with, yeah, right here, sustained fire. So, you need to just spray at the guy. It's long distance. You might miss a couple of shots, so you just want to hold on and you just want to spray at him, because you need to kill him fast, otherwise you don't get the challenge. So, this helps with sustained fire when you're spraying at him. This stuff doesn't matter. You're not running and gunning. You're basically just being a sniper with a fully automatic assault rifle. The barrel, you want the 19-point-inch Prowler, which, again, is going to help with your damage range. That way your bullets are going to be stronger when you're shooting at a farther distance. Bullet velocity, this is where this comes into play. Ground war, long distances, your bullet is going to have some travel time. Although in Call of Duty, it doesn't really seem to be that long, so I didn't actually notice it too much when I played ground war, but it helps. And recoil control, when you're spraying, you want it to be as much of a laser beam as possible. And then the cons, it doesn't really affect because you're not moving around and you're basically just, you can ADS while you're reloading. So get a guy in your sight, reload, and just spray him down. Laser, you don't benefit from them at all for this build. The optic, again, completely up to you. When I started doing this challenge, I was using the variable zoom, which is actually, it's pretty good with this assault rifle because, like I said, it's got low recoil. So using a sniper scope isn't too bad. The problem is when you're camping and laying on top of a roof or something, this will still give off, although you're not using a sniper, you're using the scope, and it gives off the sniper glint, the little sparkle. So it gives away your position a lot. So I went back. This is probably my favorite sight in the game, although I haven't even used, like, I don't even think I've used half the sights in this game. But this is by far one of my favorites. So it's got the zoom, so you can have just a hollow sight for close, if somebody's not as far, or if they're at a longer distance, you can just pop up the magnification. So it's really, scopes are definitely up to you, but that's what I used. Stock, you could use the Sniper Pro stock for aiming stability, but like it says, I didn't use this for precision shots, because that's what you're not trying to be super precise. You're spraying at the guy, because you can't just tap him, because that's going to take too much time. You just need to spray and kill him as soon as you get that mag in, so I didn't use that stock, but you could experiment with it. Bipod helps with laying down. Unfortunately, this is the last attachment for underbarrel. So as you can see, there is a ton before this. So doing this reload challenge, I would highly recommend saving it for the last camo challenge, just so you can get all these attachments to make this as easy as possible, because for me this is infuriating doing this challenge. I hate it. But the bipod itself helps with prone and recoil control. Again, I highly recommend you just lay down on top of a roof. It's the easiest way that I found to get this camo challenge done as quickly as possible. Ammo, in my opinion, you don't benefit enough by using more ammo, because you constantly have to reload. Oh yeah, that would be a terrible idea. It would be a waste of attachment. You need to reload constantly, so there's no sense of having more mags. Yeah, I don't even know. Yeah, so don't use a mag. Rear grip, there wasn't enough here to make me use a grip over any of the other attachments, because aiming stability, that would actually be kind of good. Recoil control, you're not gonna have a lot of recoil. Like the bipod does a lot more than a grip would, and the other attachments kind of work better than a grip would. Then the last attachment is the perk sleight of hand. Obviously, for these reload kills, you have to find your target, you have to reload, and then you need to kill the person. So you want to minimize that time from spotting the target to shooting. And obviously, reloading sleight of hand, that's going to help you. That's going to cut down a big chunk of it. So that would be the last perk. I'm trying to think if there's anything I left out. I don't think so. This is my first video doing one of these like gun guides for Golden. I don't think there's anything I could really tell you right now. If you guys have any questions, just leave them in the comments section down below. I should be able to get back to any and all questions you guys leave down there. Yeah, I think that's really it. The only camo that these three builds aren't gonna help you get is that no attachment one, which I mentioned. But I mean, that's just using the gun any way you want, whatever game mode. You just can't have attachments on it. But yeah, guys, I hope you enjoy the video. The camo challenges aren't too bad. They're pretty easy. Like I said, the two most annoying ones are the mounted kills, but going into ground war, just camping, you can get those done pretty easy. But definitely this reload build I hate it. So, good luck with your camos. Again, any questions you guys have, just leave them down below. I should be able to get back to them.